Welcome to the Engage Jeffco Podcast, where each episode we dive into the issues, events, and unique perspectives shaping our Jefferson County community. I'm Amber.
And I'm Johnny. Whether you're a longtime resident, a weekend trail user, or just interested in what's happening in our backyard, this podcast is a must listen.
In this episode, we dive into Jefferson County's efforts to extend a regional trail project called the Rocky Mountain Greenway that aims to eventually connect the Denver metro area with Rocky Mountain National Park.
That's right. We spoke with Jefferson County Open Space Director Tom Hoby to help us better understand where the project stands and where it's headed as it relates to the organization's mission of providing healthy, nature-based experiences for residents.
Tom walks us through the project's timeline and funding, how the county is collaborating with regional partners, and how Jeffco is working to ensure the trail is safe to use, especially considering its location on the Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge, land formerly used as a United States nuclear weapons production facility.
We also chat about how Jeffco intends to ensure safe access for trail-goers, including a bridge over Indiana Street and interpretive signage to provide people with a history of the area, nearby options, and information to make informed choices.
Let's get to it. Here's our interview with Jeffco Open Space Director Tom Hoby. So, Tom, can you give us a brief timeline of the Rocky Mountain Greenway project?
Well, the Rocky Mountain Greenway really fledged from President Obama's America's Great Outdoors initiative, and the America's Great Outdoors and Rocky Mountain Greenway were really the brainchild of Secretary Salazar, Secretary of the Interior Ken Salazar. Around 2009, 2010 was when President Obama embarked on that initiative.
So how much is this project expected to cost, and where is that funding coming from?
It's about a $4 million project. These are a bridge crossing trail, a bridge crossing over Indiana Street into Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge, and an underpass under State Highway 128, again connecting from Boulder County and the Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge. The funding, this is funded through a couple of different sources, primarily through the Central Federal Highways and through a Federal Lands Access Program, or FLAP grant. And 83% of those funds are federal funds, and the remaining 17% of those funds comes from partner matches. And our partners in this project include the cities of Arvada, Westminster, and Boulder, as well as Boulder County and Jefferson County.
This project is on the Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge, land that was formerly used for nuclear weapons production. Given this, what steps have Jefferson County taken to ensure access to this area is safe?
Well, first off, the bridge and underpass that I described are actually in various road rights-of-way. They're not technically in the refuge, but they do connect to the refuge. When we look at our mission, the Jeffco Open Space mission, the third piece of our mission is to provide healthy nature-based experiences. So making sure that they are healthy, which includes safety, is the first order of business for us, period. And so our reliance in determining that in this case are extensive studies that have been done by the Colorado Department of Health and Environment, CDPHE, as well as the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA.
Given all that confirmation from those agencies, what other independent testing have you all conducted?
As part of the FLAP Partners Agreement, that's all of the folks who came up with the 17% in matching funds, all of our partners agreed that we would do air quality testing during construction facilities so that we could monitor any particulate matter that was becoming airborne as a result of construction activity and determine if there was any harmful material being released.
And many community members, they're already visiting this area where the project is being constructed. In what ways does the Rocky Mountain Greenway actually make it safer for visitors who are already wanting to recreate in that area?
Right. The Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge has been open now for 6 to 8 years, somewhere along that timeline. So people have been visiting the refuge, and getting there at this point for some folks involves crossing Indiana Street and crossing Highway 128, both very busy highways. And again, providing that healthy nature-based experience, often pedestrians and bikes on crossing busy roads without any kind of separation, without any kind of pedestrian markings, etc., is not a very safe situation. And so in both of these situations, we are separating the roadway from the trail. That is the safest scenario that we know of for pedestrians, cyclists, equestrians, and the like to use a trail and cross a roadway.
And this will make it easier and safer for people to access that trailway.
Yes, yes. It provides access from a number of different points east in Arvada in particular. We helped fund a really terrific project at the Stanley Lake Library that has a Rocky Mountain Greenway trailhead associated with it that our partners at Arvada did a terrific job with. And then there is a small trailhead on the north side of 128 that is operated by Boulder County.
The people that are already in that area recreating, they are kind of making man-made trails. Can you kind of talk about how putting this trailway in place will stop, I guess, the dust kick-up and ensure that everyone's safe in that area?
One of the primary concerns that folks have raised in this process is the particulate matter that would be stirred up by any kind of trail activity. That can be by a horse, by a bicycle, by foot, by a runner, whatever the case may be. So there's a number of different terms that are used for the trails that you're describing. Some people call them social trails. We call them unauthorized trails. Some of our partners like to refer to them as illegal trails, but they are basically trails that are wear patterns from the public using a particular area, and they are not particularly a designated trail that we have identified that is in a place that is least harmful to the environment, is sustainable so that it won't erode and cause water quality issues, etc. So in this particular case, the Greenway Trail is actually a surface trail. So we're bringing in material from offsite. This is both on Rocky Flats and in the places there would ultimately connect to Rocky Flats. We're bringing in material and covering the material that's on site. So anything that would become airborne from that use on that designated trail would not be native material to the Rocky Flats site.
And I know a lot of people are interested in this area and this project. And like we discussed earlier, there have been state agencies, federal agencies who have confirmed the soil is safe.
There have been a number of tests done, again, by CDPHE and the EPA and others on the site that have determined that the area that is open to the public at Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge is safe. And our reliance is on those studies that have been done by those organizations that are responsible for that kind of work.
And what are some other added benefits from this project, such as signage to increase education about this area?
Yeah, there's a number of things that we can really speak to the community about there. And one, and first and foremost, is how the site used to be used, the history of the site, and going back to indigenous people's use of the site. And then talking about some of the Cold War uses and so forth, what occurred at Rocky Flats, why it occurred there, and so forth, what some of the cleanup efforts looked like, the central operating unit that is not part of a public access area on Rocky Flats, why that's there. And then there's a number of nature messages that we can communicate. There's a herd of about 400 elk on Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge, and it is one impressive sight to see that herd thunder across Rocky Flats National Wildlife Refuge. So we can talk about wildlife, we can talk about some of the species that call the refuge home and their biology and life history.
It's a beautiful resource for the community. And can you talk about Jeffco Open Space reason for moving forward with this project?
A number of reasons. We like to think of ourselves as a regional convener, leader, and engager. And we do that regularly with many of our partners in and around Jefferson County, whether they are some of the terrific cities, towns, and park districts that we work with, federal agencies that we work with, Colorado Parks and Wildlife that we work with regularly. In this particular case, we have a trails plan, the Jeffco Trails Plan. It was adopted by the commissioners several years ago. And that really speaks to connectivity and creating these connections from neighborhoods to regional trails that really allow people to get outdoors from their front door.
Right. And with this project, there's so much interest in it. Can you kind of explain what you're hoping bringing these trails and signage and even making it even more accessible to the community? What are you hoping that it brings to that area and to community members?
Well, first and foremost, we hope that it'll bring another healthy nature-based experience. We believe deeply that getting outdoors is something that people need to thrive in their life. And that connection to nature is especially important to Coloradoans and the people who move here. And from there, we hope that people will gain a better understanding and a better appreciation for the refuge, its history, its rich natural resources, its scenic beauty, all of those things.
And with the timeline of the project, can you kind of break down when those materials will be coming in for the trailway, signage being put up, and hopefully finalizing the bridges to help access?
Yeah, the Greenway Trail in the refuge is largely completed. The bridge and underpass that I mentioned earlier are in the process of being constructed. We anticipate those being complete this fall. So that's really the timeline, and folks will be able to start using those facilities as soon as they pass final inspection and are ready to go. The signage, the interpretive signage, may take a little bit longer to come. That may be into next year. We want to make sure we touch all the important points there.
Awesome. Any final thoughts or words?
We're just really looking forward to adding another trail opportunity for folks in Jefferson County. This trail, a portion of the trail in Rocky Flats, interestingly, will also be part of what was one of Governor Hickenlooper's 16 priority trail, Colorado's 16 state priority trail projects, and that is the Front Range Trail. So there's a portion of the Greenway in Rocky Flats that will double as the Colorado Front Range Trail, or Front Range Trail as it's called now.
Once again, a big thank you to Jefferson County Open Space Director Tom Hoby for taking the time to walk us through the Rocky Mountain Greenway project, from its history and timeline for completion to the steps being taken to ensure public safety and trust.
It's clear this trail represents more than just a path through open space. It's about connecting people to public lands, offering safer routes for recreation, and opening up a dialogue around land use, environmental health, and community values.
For more information about Jefferson County's part in extending the Rocky Mountain Greenway, please visit the open space section of our website at www.jeffco.us.
Also, if you have questions or ideas for future topics, please send them our way. We want this podcast to reflect what matters most to you.
And did you know Engage Jeffco is also a monthly newsletter? You can find a link to subscribe in the show notes, along with all of our social media handles.
And before we go, make sure to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and share this episode with anyone interested in our Jeffco community.
Thanks again for listening.
Have a great day.